down the row, if that's okay.
I just want to thank everybody. I think this was America at its best tonight. I mean, this room was full when it started. It's a little less full now. I know those seats are not comfortable. I'm sorry. You know, I think if you look around at each other, I mean, public education is ground zero for the future of America, and I don't say that in a cliched way. I mean, if we're going to save the country, it's going to start through public education. I mean, and there's no guarantee that we will. There's no guarantee that we'll save public education. There are people who want to destroy it. You know, I think there is. Let me just give you, in the last 2 weeks, state of Florida, Richard Corcoran threw Lisa Miller off an ESC advocacy board at the state where she was one of the state's leading advocates for disabled and vulnerable children. She's a lead at that. She has a profoundly disabled son. She's been fighting for them for years. State government this year is making a pretty blatant raid on how Medicaid is done, and it's going to harm a bunch of kids, and I suspect they didn't want Lisa around to fight, and so they tossed her off. Shortly after that, the DOE General Counsel, you know, as we all know, threatened to fire 1,600 teachers over an organized work stoppage that did not exist. And, you know, the most comical of these three things is we had a local legislator who just declared in a legislative meeting that I should be removed from my duly elected position just for existing. You know, that's the stakes. We pushed back a little bit here. I mean, a little bit. You know, there's the model of education in Florida is going to always create conflict here. The teachers and staff, and really even our leaders, everybody wants to serve the humanity of kids, but that is not how they're evaluated. That is not how their jobs are determined. Every time we talk about B grade, we endorse the evaluation of leaders by numbers, not by humanity. We don't have humanity walls. We have data walls. And what's different in Polk County a little bit is that starting in 2016 and again in 2018, you had a public that demanded our children and our teachers and our staff begin to be treated like human beings that can be developed. And not like pieces of data to sell. And that's what the newer board members have been fighting for. That runs into the reality of how the superintendent and all our regional superintendents and all the folks whose livelihoods and pressures are built around creating numbers, no matter what those numbers actually say. That's going to be a tension forever. Like, there's no way around that. That's fundamental, and that's, I mean, there's never going to come a day when I'm not going to tell you that school grades are fraud. School grades are fraud that are designed to stigmatize your kids and outsource them to grifters and criminals. That's going to be a conflict. I also recognize that our leadership has to work in that, and the challenge we face is how to accommodate what the public wants, because I didn't trick the public into voting for or me. Sarah didn't trick the public into voting for her. Lisa didn't trick the public. Like, we didn't snap our fingers and appear here magically. The public demanded it. The public is demanding humanity for their kids, and that's running into the reality of how the system is set up, and that is going to create tension here. That is not a bad thing. We have had creative tension on this board now for 4 years and gotten a lot done. The behavior plan, I was thrilled to hear a firsthand account of someone being pleased with it. That's pressure from the board that's been responded to by our leaders. I talked a little while ago at one of our retreats about moving from creative tension, creative pressure to creative collaboration. We're not there yet. We're not, but we can get there. And I'm certainly committed to do that with whoever is here, whoever's the leaders. I think to focus on an individual leader misunderstands the stakes. And no offense to Mrs. Byrd or anyone else, but this is bigger than all of us. Believe me when I tell you the existence of a public education system, the existence of it is at stake. They want to kill it. And the way they kill it is with school grades and with all these weapons they use. And you see what happens when people push back. They start talking about governors removing elected officials. They start tossing off parents who are elite ESE advocates. They start talking about firing 1,600 people who give their lives every damn day to do the work nobody else will do. The day is never going to come, never, that if a teacher at one of our schools gets thrown out of a class because of VAM and no leader is there to comfort her or him or help them move furniture, and they call me, that I'm not going to go. Never. The day is never going to come, never, when our people get a 9:30 p.m. email 2 days before a rally accusing them of a strike that did not exist and saying we're going to fire you, or we can, at the state level. The day is never going to come without me immediately going to war on their behalf. It is my most fervent hope that the next time that happens, every leader in this room stands next to me when I do it. Short of that, I'm willing to work with anybody at any time. But I do have to say this, and I want to depersonalize this for a second, because I think we get too personal about things. I want to talk about the board position and the superintendent position for just a second. The position is, I sort of lost my train of thought there. Any board member, any superintendent in any district anywhere is an organizational executive in a highly public, highly volatile, highly difficult job that is incredibly important. They are not a cult leader. They need to get public criticism. It's what makes them better. To insulate our leaders from meaningful public criticism, to say any voice raised against them is condemned biblically, is to hamper their development as executives, as people. You don't do anybody any favors protecting them from meaningful criticism. I was elected by the public to be a public advocate for the public, and that's what I'm going to do. That does not mean I want to fire these superintendents. It has never meant that. At some point, you either believe that or you don't. But I'm never, ever going to stop advocating for the people who elected me and the people who pay everybody's salary up here, and who fight and do the hard things for our kids, and who are really the only thing standing between our kids and not having anybody. This could go away, and then the superintendent is a superintendent of subs, and that's it. Are we all going to show up and just stand in classrooms? This is an existential time, and I would just encourage everybody to think about the stakes. Think about the stakes. It's bigger than any one person, any board. What I'm extremely proud of here in Polk County is, unlike any other county in the state, we've become the pointy end of the sword. We're not going to go quiet quietly. We're here to fight for the humanity of our kids, the people who work here, and if we have to hash some things out in the tough ways amongst ourselves in public, fine. That's America. And I'm proud of everything that's happened here tonight. I'm proud of what happened last weekend. I'm proud to be a board member here, and I'm proud to work with anybody at any time in this room who wants to do anything with me. Sorry, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Ms. Fortney?